Good day to you, my grade 10 learners. My name is Tandokazi Ndlovu, and today I want to share with you a powerful learning method that can help you change how you approach your studies. So, moving into the FET phase, I would say at times it feels really overwhelming because there are more subjects that you're doing now, there's more content, but most importantly, there are high expectations not only from yourself but at times from the teachers and your parents too. But the truth is, in order for you to succeed in all of this, it doesn't actually depend on whether or not you're working hard or not working hard, or you're working alone. What's important depends on you working smarter. So, how will we do this? I actually think we should apply study skills. So, what are study skills, and why do you think study skills are important? I would say that study skills are really important because many learners tend to cram the night before the test or an exam. Now, let's think about our brains. Our brains tend to forget 70% of what we actually studied if we did not do any revision. So, revision is really important. So, that's the solution. So, how will we revise? What study skills can we apply? I'll talk about the two study skills that I've used throughout my life. The first one, it is active note making. The second one is space revision. With both these study skills, your memory can become more stronger. Let's look at the first one. What is active note making? So active note making is more than just copying notes from the board. However, it is also about applying understanding and try changing ideas or these words into your own words, right? How do we do this? We use mind map, tables, bullets, we use different types of things. So for active note making, we have different techniques that we can use. For example, you highlight the keywords. Use highlighters to highlight the keywords. You draw arrows for cause and effect. Use different color coding. For example, if you're reading something and there's a problem, you can use color red, but for solutions, you can use the color green. And then sometimes you can also use symbols, for example, a star, a heart, just to highlight the important terms and concepts that you are learning about. Secondly, what is space revision? So space revision is when we are reviewing content at set levels, intervals, instead of last minute cramming. Do not cram. That's gonna overwhelm you and you'll feel so much under pressure. Do things when you have time. So let's look at an example of a schedule while we're applying space revision. First one, 24 hours after class, you can start revising what you learned in the classroom. 3 days later, start revising again. 1 week later, start revising. And then make sure you always have short reviews to strengthen your memory. These short reviews can be 10 to 15 minutes. So let's look at my own analogy that I use as a plant. An example, I said, number one, cramming. It is where you are pouring all the water at once. What does that do to the plant? The plant tends to drown, and it dies off, right? But with space revision, you can regularly water your plant and it will grow stronger. Now let's look at our study cycle diagram that I use. For my diagram, I use different things that will help me understand more. Okay, the first one is active note making. So this is where I'm gonna summarize my words or my notes, use mind maps, color coding as I said, and keywords. Then we move on to the next step, which is first review. First review, we said it happens when within 24 hours. That's correct. So you revise your notes within a day, which strengthens your memory and also it helps you recall things. The next step, which is space revision. What is space revision? This is when you review 3 days after, and then a week later, and then one more time before you take the test or the exam. And then the last one, self-testing, is really essential. And it depends, honestly speaking, on a student or a learner. How do they self-test themselves? Some use past year papers or past test papers. They revise by doing that. Others use flashcards. Others use quizzes. They go through quizzes. And then there are those who prefer peer discussions. You can literally have discussions with your friends, and sorry about that, you can have discussions with your friends and everyone else. That's the slide, guys, that I was talking to you about. Active note making, first review within 24 hours, space revision, and then the last one, self-testing. Then motivation and closing, guys. Always try studying when you have time. Make sure you have prior knowledge, study before. Make sure you also do lots and lots of revisions so you don't have to panic. And then this will also help because you have great time management. Active note making, understanding, space revision, remember things. Start with one subject this week. Great job, guys. Thank you.